Hello there, this is Matt once again, and welcome back to another review. And this time I am reviewing the Mission Impossible films, starting with the original 1996 movie. And I figured since the new movie's coming out in the summer called Fallout, why not review the first 5 Mission Impossible films? Now, this came out in 1996, and man, that was a good time for movies. It really was, because you had Independence Day, you had Twister, you had The Rock, you had, what was it? Daylight came out, I think, November, December that year. You had Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I enjoy all those movies that I've listed. I reviewed most of them. A lot of good movies at that time. Now, this is directed by Brian De Palma, who of course directed Carrie. He's directed quite a few films. And I thought Brian De Palma did a really good job with this. Never saw the TV show, so I can't say anything about it. Maybe people who really liked the TV show, maybe they were not fans of it, but again, never watched the TV show. And this is a good action, mystery, thriller, a bunch of elements put together. Tom Cruise is part of this IMF agency led by Jon Voight. Team gets together with those two, Emilio Estevez, which is always a trip to see Emilio Estevez in this, because he doesn't last too long in the movie. And I doubt anyone has ever asked Emilio about this movie, like how he got involved. If I had to guess, it's because I know him and Tom Cruise were in the film The Outsiders together back in the day, so maybe. And then Tom Cruise, he actually has a blink and you miss it appearance in Young Guns. Like, you can't barely recognize him, but he's sort of in the background in the final shootout in Young Guns, and he's one of the people that gets shot. So I guess him and Emilio are good friends. I don't know about anymore, but so maybe Tom's like, hey, why don't you come in here? And Emilio, recognizable face. I love Emilio Estevez. Maximum Overdrive, I absolutely love. Judgment Night. He's been a lot of great stuff. Young Guns, like my favorite Western. The first Young Guns. And when he's in the beginning of the film, maybe it's to mislead us to think he's going to be in the film much longer and become much more of a surprise when you see what does happen. I will say it definitely starts off at a very interesting place in the story. And the Mission Impossible films have that realm of a little bit of sci-fi fantasy with the fake mask and later on the fake voice. And right at the beginning of the film, they set up this room, this fake room. They make this guy give a name, and Tom Cruise has this fake mask. And you see much more of these type of gadgets throughout the series of movies. And the rest of the cast, I mean, not only do you have Tom Cruise, Jon Voight, Emilio Estevez for a little bit at least, but you also have Jean Reno, who you see right there. Ving Rhames, who would be a recurring character in a couple of these movies. You also have Vanessa Redgrave, Kristen Scott Thomas, special effects by Industrial Light and Magic, and actually special makeup effects by Rob Bottin, which I didn't realize that until now. Rob Bottin there, the same guy who did the effects for Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger and John Carpenter's The Thing. I did not know he did the special makeup effects for this movie. That's pretty cool. And the music is by Danny Elfman. That's another thing I didn't realize until now. Danny Elfman did the score to this. Classic Mission Impossible theme at the beginning of the film. And I like the cover version they do on this. A little bit of a techno vibe to it. And like I said, the story starts off at an interesting place where the team gets together. Yes, a little bit of nice back and forth between Tom and Emilio, where Emilio gives them this gum. It's like one side is red and one side is a green. Red light, green light, boom. Just don't chew it. And I keep mentioning the beginning of the story is interesting because right from the get-go, the team gets wiped out. Jon Voight's character, the character name is Phelps, which I could be wrong, but I think that was one of the characters in the show. And then when you see what happens to that character, I don't know if this is supposed to be in continuity with the show, and if it is, maybe that would make fans of the show mad. And they would be like that and say, oh, I'm allergic to bullshit. Or if, again, not being the expert on the TV show, for people who are experts of the TV show, you can give me more info in the comments below if you wish. I'm clicking on here to see. Yeah, Jim Phelps was a character on Mission Impossible show. And I'm looking through to see. There's the one Peter Graves played. But yeah, I don't know if it's supposed to connect to the show or if this is just not supposed to have connection to the show. It's just there for a nod to the show. You know, I can't tell you one way or another. I guess some information on the movie. Paramount Pictures owned the rights to the TV series, had tried it for years to make a film version, but failed to come up with a viable treatment. Tom Cruise had been a fan of the show since he was young, thought it would be a good idea for a film. He chose Mission Impossible to be the first project of his new production company and convinced Paramount to put up a $70 million budget. Brian De Palma got hired. They went through 2 screenplay drafts and no one liked. De Palma brought in screenwriters Steve Zaillian, David Koepp, and finally Robert Towne. According to the director, the goal of the script was to constantly surprise the audience. Reportedly, Koepp was paid $1 million to rewrite an original script by Willard Huyck and Gloria Katz. Those are the 2 people that directed Howard the Duck, right? So maybe that's why they rewrote it. And the filmmakers delivered the film on time and under budget, with Cruise doing most of his own stunts, which you would see quite a bit in the series of movies. Which whatever you think about Tom Cruise personally, I never minded the guy. I don't care for the Scientology bullshit, but I liked the guy as an actor. I still like him as an actor. Many of his films I enjoy. I enjoy Top Gun. I enjoy Days of Thunder. I enjoy Jerry Maguire. I really enjoyed Edge of Tomorrow. I liked War of the Worlds. I liked Minority Report. That was okay. I enjoyed Oblivion. And Mission Impossible films, I like the first one, the third one, and the fifth one, Rogue Nation. The fourth one, Ghost Protocol, I hated. Still hate it because I just watched it again. And Mission Impossible 2, I'm not a big fan of, but I would pick that over Ghost Protocol. But 2 and 4, Ghost Protocol are the ones I'm eh. But 1, 3, and 5 I do enjoy. And I guess it says here, of course, film uses the Lalo Schifrin, probably said that name wrong, but I know who the band is, who did the original theme for Mission Impossible. However, originally Alan Silvestri was hired to write the film score and had in fact recorded somewhere around 23 minutes of score. Alan Silvestri, of course, is the guy who did the score to the Back to the Future films and The Abyss, and I think, did he do Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I know he did the Back to the Future films. Forrest Gump, yep, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Predator, of course, Predator 2. During post-production, due to creative differences, Silvestri's music was rejected and replaced with new composer Danny Elfman. According to sources, the decision to replace Silvestri was made by producer Tom Cruise. And then YouTube bandmates Larry Mullen Jr. and Adam Clayton were fans of the TV show and knew the original theme music well, but were nervous about remaking Schifrin's legendary theme song. But they put together their own version. That's probably the little bit of technical thing I heard. I like that. And the rest of the score is pretty decent by Danny Elfman, but I do like that that version of the theme music. Several cast members of the original show reacted negatively to the film. Sorry, I know I'm just getting some little info before I talk about the movie. One actor was disgusted with the film's treatment of the Phelps character, and he walked out of the theater before the film ended. Peter Graves disliked how Phelps turned out in the film. Graves had been asked to reprise Phelps, but turned it down when he learned his character was going to be revealed to be a traitor. Well, I guess I answered my question as to whether this is supposed to connect to the show, because they asked Peter Graves. I can see why Peter Graves turned it down. So I can see why fans of the show would be pissed at that. It didn't need to be Phelps. It could have been a different actor. See, I'm learning this as you are. Martin Landau expressed his own disapproval concerning the film. When they were working on an early incarnation of the first one, not the script they ultimately did, they wanted the entire team to be destroyed, done away with one at a time, and I was against that. It was basically an action-adventure movie and not Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible is a mind game. The ideal mission was getting in and getting out without anyone ever knowing we were there. So the whole texture changed. Why volunteer to essentially have our characters commit suicide? I passed on it. The script wasn't that good either. So I can understand. I can understand why the original actors would be mad. But again, you could have just had different character names. But as a guy who never saw the show, I can't say anything much about that. I still really enjoy the movie, and I'm glad it went. It still is a little bit more of a cerebral film, but there are bits of action in it, especially the finale, which I enjoy. And throughout the film, I enjoy, especially in the third and fifth movie, I enjoy the action scenes. I'm glad they're in there. So, at the beginning of the film, the team does, for the most part, get destroyed. Emilio Estevez, very like graphic scene, not blood-wise, but he's in the elevator and he can't control and it's being lifted up, and then these spikes come down, security spikes, and Emilio's character, his eyes get impaled into the spikes. It's like, ooh. I remember when I saw this back in the day, I was probably, 13 years old in '96. I was mad. Because I like Emilio. I'm like, fuck, he's not in the movie anymore. Because I saw Young Guns and Maximum Overdrive. I'm like, fuck, he's not in the movie anymore. Shit. At that time, if I had to pick, I'm more of an Emilio fan than Tom Cruise fan. I like Tom Cruise, but I like Emilio more. So I'm like, man, I want to see more Emilio. They should have killed Tom Cruise's character off. But now I'm fine with it. But that's what I thought back in the day. On a side note, I miss Emilio Estevez. I know he's pretty much, might as well say, retired to his vineyard across the way, overseas. And once in the blue moon, he'll like come out to direct something. But I wish he would come back and do movies. Like, it would be nice if Emilio had his type of franchise. Well, other than the Mighty Ducks. Young Guns, I wouldn't call that a franchise, because it's 2 movies, but the closest he has to a franchise is the Mighty Ducks. But I mean, like an action or action-adventure franchise, I think Emilio could have done that, because I liked a lot of his movies, and really liked him as an actor. So I miss the guy. But the rest of the team is killed off, and I do think Tom Cruise did a good job acting-wise. He's dazed, he's confused, doesn't know what's going on. He calls someone, he's in this meeting with this guy named Kittredge, and he realizes that, well, this was about this list that has the real names of these agents, but it was all a ploy for this mole hunt, because they've been having other missions that people have been fucked over. They realize there's a mole in there, so this was a setup to find who the mole is, and lo and behold, you're the last one to survive. And you see you're very upset. And Tom goes, you never seen me very upset. And you get the scene from here where he throws the gum on. It's this gum that you put together, it makes a bomb, throws it to the window, blows up, able to escape through. Tom doing it all on its own. I enjoy that scene. Decent usage of slow motion. I thought the guy who played Kittredge and then Tom Cruise, they had a nice back and forth. And Brian De Palma fits the style of Mission Impossible. The way he directs, like he'll have like camera under here when they're talking to each other, like Tom Cruise and the Kittredge character. So the camera's like below, looking up at the actor, and then looking up at Tom Cruise. Or later on, when they're getting into Langley, and one guy has to use the bathroom. He's been made sick so that he can get out of there and they can move in. The camera's up above, and it's stuff you've seen in quite a few other Brian De Palma movies. And I actually want to look up Brian De Palma's movies because he's had an interesting filmography, and I should have done that before, but fuck it. Do it now. I got a computer right here. I can just do it real quick. And I guess the best way to look at it is the film is in 3 parts. The first part is the decimating of Tom Cruise's team. The second part becomes this Langley mission where Tom Cruise gets a new group, this one other woman that survived, Ving Rhames and John Reno, and the 4 of them are going to break into the FBI, and they're going to break into Langley in this scene here to get the list, to use that to bring out the true mole. And that's a very memorable sequence. I like the look of the film, all in white. And there's all this special stuff to it where it's, you can't make any sound, you can't be on the floor, even a drop of sweat or a drop of water would cause an alarm, the guy can't be in there, the temperature can't be raised a degree. And so it's this slow dip down, and then this one point, John Reno's on the ropes, and he fucks up, and then Tom Cruise is about this far away from the floor. Nice wide shots, some nice editing, nice, well done piece of suspense when the sweat starts collecting on Tom Cruise's glasses, and one sweat, then another sweat. He barely, nick of time, catches the sweat before he hits the floor. I always enjoyed that sequence. I thought that was a fun sequence. Again, Brian De Palma, for what Mission Impossible would be, that's a director that makes sense. Just the best way to put it. It makes a lot of sense, considering some of the other films he's done. Now, let's see, Brian De Palma. Phantom of the Paradise wasn't for me. I liked Carrie. The Fury I haven't seen in a while. Dress to Kill, I still need to see that. Blowout I liked. Scarface is my favorite. That'd be my favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite Al Pacino and Brian De Palma movie. Body Double I reviewed. I really enjoyed that. The Untouchables is a good one. Casualties of War, I would say it's my second favorite Brian De Palma movie. Bonfire of the Vanities, I still haven't seen. I've heard a lot of bad things about it. Raising Cain, haven't seen in a while. Carlito's Way, that was okay. Mission Impossible, this is probably my 3rd favorite Brian De Palma movie. So it'd be Scarface, Casualties of War, Mission Impossible. I'd actually put Mission to Mars as number 4. I reviewed Mission to Mars. I know a lot of people hate that film, but I liked it. I watched it again a few years ago, and I reviewed it for the channel. I quite like Mission to Mars. And then 5, I would go to Body Double. Snake Eyes, decent time waster. It's just the trailer gave everything away, but it's a decent time waster. I haven't seen the others like Black Dahlia or Redacted or Wise Guys I didn't care for back in the 80s, but there's quite a few of his I enjoy. Sisters I haven't seen. But yeah, Carrie, Blowout, Scarface, Body Double, The Untouchables, Casualties of War, Mission Impossible, Snake Eyes, Mission to Mars. Quite a few of his I enjoyed. He's a good director. And then you have the third bit of the film where it's on the train and you have the helicopter sequence. And before I get to that, another thought interesting piece of editing where Jon Voight shows up and Tom Cruise, like Jon Voight is saying about how he came to be there and what happened, and Tom Cruise is going along with Jon Voight to make him not suspicious, but in his mind, as we see it, he's piecing together that it is Jon Voight and he is the villain. So while he's going along with what Jon Voight's saying in his head, he's like, so this is how it happened. I thought it was a nice piece of editing those pieces of the scene together. I thought that was a nice piece of editing. And then you get the finale, which I enjoy the finale, where they're on the train and he finds out that the woman was part of it with Jon Voight, and he puts on the glasses. When Tom puts it on, it's one of these glasses that show video footage, and he's able to show Kittredge, who's be able to get on there. Ving Rhames is also on the train to help Tom out. And then Tom is able to show Kittredge, oh wait, Jon Voight is alive as well. And then you get to the top of the train, which might be my favorite finale of these Mission Impossible movies. It's definitely the one that I remember the most and really enjoy. I like the way it looks. I mean, people could say it's bad effects for '96, but I like the way it looks on top of the train. It looks interesting. I like the look of it, and Tom Cruise on the side of the train has to get out of the way from an oncoming train. He jumps onto the helicopter. Red light, green light, puts the gum on the helicopter. John Reno's piloting it, and John Reno is part of Jon Voight's bad guys. And jumps as it explodes, and he gets pushed onto the train. And then the helicopter's blowing up, and it goes towards Tom. And then the blade like almost gets Tom right here. So it's kind of funny in the new Mission Impossible trailer. In the first film, it's a helicopter coming towards him. And the new one, he's in a helicopter going towards something. So it's like a total 180. Helicopter going towards him. Now he is the helicopter. He's in a helicopter going towards something. So I'm maybe I'm the only one that thinks of that, but it's sort of a nice switch. Nice flip between the two. I like the whole look of the scene. That helicopter bit of all the Mission Impossible films is probably my favorite finale. Short but effective. Big, over the top, but a lot of fun. And this might actually be the shortest of the Mission Impossible films too, because this is under 2 hours. It's like an hour and 50 minutes, and that's with the end credits, so you take out the end credits at like an hour and 40, hour and 45 minutes. And yeah, I would say it's the shortest one. The pacing didn't bother me. Again, I like the opening of the film, the little mystery of what's going on, the team getting decimated, who did it, the break into Langley, the way Brian De Palma is developing the suspense of what's going to happen. Of course, when you watch a lot of these movies, you know what's going to happen, or you know pretty much how it's going to play out. But still, I just see how good of a director Brian De Palma is with at least trying it out, at least trying to build that type of stuff. And yeah, the cast did a good job. Tom Cruise, Jon Voight, Ving Rhames. Sadly, this is probably the most Ving Rhames gets to do in any of the Mission Impossible films. which is too bad. I never really understood why Ving Rhames. I mean, he's in bits of the second film and stuff, but I never really understood why he didn't have much more to do. He's a big physical guy. He did physical, and then he could also do the computer stuff. So I never really understood why that ever really made him a bigger part of these movies. Like he's in many of the movies, but he never really becomes a big part of it. Not sure why. The music fits the film. Didn't find it boring at all. Yeah, that was a entertaining summer thriller mystery with the bits of action in it. And I thought the pacing worked very well for the flick. And yeah, Brian De Palma, he's the kind of director that fits with a Mission Impossible movie. Might be interesting to see what he would do with a James Bond movie. Because when I watched Scarface in this, I'm like, okay, he did do some action. And that directing style in the midst of a James Bond film, for its mystery parts or its dramatic thriller parts, might make for an interesting James Bond flick. So, never know. Either way, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.